live chat. How about that?
And we're here. So welcome to the forecast for 2026. I'm Starlene Breiter here with Mark Metheny, and we are going to talk about the overall astrological forecast for 2026. We're going to get through as much of it as we can, and then we're going to also record a deeper look at January. So that will be in a second video that we do after we take a little break. But just so you know how it's going to flow, we do these videos every single month. So if you're interested in checking us out live, you can do it. Usually it's on the last Thursday or the Thursday before the last of the month. We do them live, but you can also, of course, watch them on my YouTube channel and just go there and check them out as well. So Mark, how are you doing today? Are you ready for 26?
I'm no, 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 no.
Oh goodness. 2026 is going to be an interesting year. What is it? Okay, so we have some very pivotal astrological things going on in 2026. Clearly, we've been talking about this for months now. And the big thing is not just one outer planet moving into a new sign. It's actually two, specifically Saturn and Neptune going into Aries, the very first degree of Aries when they make a conjunction, 0 degrees of Aries. And that happens in February, right, Mark?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then in the middle of the year, we have Uranus moving back into Gemini again too.
Yep, that too. So we have when the outer planets, so you use a more evolutionary system of astrology than I do, although I love what you do. But from that perspective, what are we thinking about in terms of outer planets moving into masculine signs? If they're not already there, they're moving into it.
Yeah. So I mean, like we've got the first 3 weeks of the calendar year of 2026 is kind of that's the end of pretty much the end of Neptune and Pisces, and then we're at like Saturn's at like 28, 29 Pisces at that point. So we get a few weeks at the beginning of the incorrect calendar year to kind of fix the last few things. But I to have that many planets like changing signs, and we got a preview of this like last July and August. We had Saturn and Neptune in Aries, and they were actually in Aries a little bit longer than that. But then we had the Uranus and Gemini in there for July and August of last year. And then we have Uranus and Gemini a little longer than that too. But those, like July and August, were the 2 months where we had the planetary lineup, the outer planetary lineup. If I were good at English, that's how I would say it. For for what we're going to have for the next 2.5, a little bit over. Well, now it'll be just a little bit under 2.5 years. So I mean, those that's really, I mean, look, Mercury and Venus and the moon and like those things are all fine, but those things move so quickly that really, I mean, what are you going to do with them?
Right.
I mean, if you have a good or a bad Mercury transit, I mean, what do you get? A handful of days on either side of that. Maybe you get a week total on both ends of the transit, like maybe get 7 or 8 days, maybe 10 if you're lucky, that you can really use. I mean, what do you, not that those planets aren't important, but that the meat and potatoes of everything is like I'm gonna say Mars through Pluto. Because even though Mars moves pretty, fast compared to the other planets, Mars is like, I think, one of the most obvious, like, that make the biggest difference when it changes signs. So, but when you've got, we're going to have the four outer planets all in masculine signs, and they're all going to be, I think, somewhere in the little thing we worked on, like the key degrees this year are going to be 3 to 5 degrees, most importantly of the air and fire signs, but also the earth and water signs will get the squares off of that.
Right.
So, but really, if we've got planets at 3 to 5 degrees of anything, those are the ones you need to watch this year. And we've not had I forget what the date is now. Even we've not had a Saturn Neptune conjunction in early Aries since the BC era. I mean, it's been way over. I think there was a conjunction in like late Aries.
Yeah, it wasn't.
And like
yeah,
1,500 years ago or something like that.
Yeah,
But just to have all the outer planets just working very tightly together, and they're in masculine signs, so that difference is going to be like even more pronounced. So, and Saturn and Neptune are not happy in Aries. They're not. They're very, Neptune rules Pisces, Saturn rules Capricorn. And then, even if you look further, even Pluto rules Scorpio, and Uranus is really the only planet out of the four outer planets that is going to be happy in the sign that it's in.
Uranus. Oh, because Uranus and Gemini. But we looked at that too. Uranus and Gemini. I might have to my headphones on. I'm hearing feedback. But Uranus and Gemini is also historically there were lots of wars. That's the word I'm looking for. That happened. Not it's not like a only indicator of it. I don't think any one sign is an indicator of anything. One planet in one sign, but triggered by many different other things, like the changes that we have in our society. That is clearly we're going through this metamorphosis of change, which is the zero. Well, now it's past. It's 1 degree Pluto, the 0 degree Neptune Uranus conjunction. I mean, everything is like right in those early degrees, like you said. So societally, we're changing, we're shifting into something different, and we don't even know what that is. And I think it's really interesting because Saturn is like putting context to those things. It's actually giving us the context to looking at things, what is going to be the 3D world, you know what I mean? And then Neptune's like, well, it's floaty. It's also dreamy. What is your dream? Are you focused on the dream that you want? And of course these forecasts, I had a conversation with someone recently about this, but the forecasts are looking at trends, bigger trends throughout what's going on. Personal, astrology, looking at it personally is much different, so if you're confused about that, that's the difference between, looking at a forecast like we do as an overall and looking at a personal consultation, how it affects your own chart. So by the way, Mark and myself will do consultations. So if that's something you're looking for, get in touch with us. But that is the difference between that. So we're looking at a big overall trend, and the trend is shift from what once was, as you were saying, the feminine signs into the masculine signs. And it's like a shift, a collective shift, if you will. Yeah.
So I think I mean, and I think everybody in the astrological community has already beaten this horse to death, but I mean, I think that the obvious way this is playing out is artificial intelligence. I mean, the way that just my Facebook page has changed since the spring of this year, when the planets started moving into Aries and then Gemini, it's like it's just like my whole Facebook feed is just pretty much trash most of the time, because it's all just like AI created videos and stuff, like all the reels and everything. Like almost all of them are fake. And like I get, if I look at 10 posts on my Facebook wall, like eight of the 10 will be either AI created or from people that I'm not even friends with, or groups I'm not part of, or whatever. So you have to scroll through that stuff to get to any kind of.
Well, that does speak to a shift in our changes as a collective too. So we used to have the idea of, we were on MySpace, right? If we're old enough, we were on MySpace,
Right.
and we weren't. But then Facebook became a thing, and it became high value to the people that were using it because we got connected and all of that. And then they made it higher value to the people that were funding it, which were people that were buying ads and things like that. So that flipped it to where the users were being more used, and that's where we're at now. And I think that there could be, this is my own thoughts, that there could be something else coming along, and there is many other different social medias at this point, but there's other ways in which we will be connected. And I think some of them we haven't even thought of, and that's speaking to these shifts that we're seeing in the sky to other things that are going to connect us in different ways. Because I feel like Facebook is kind of on that trend of like, what happens with corporations when they go through that, they value the people that are actually, coming to the corporation to be part of it. And then they value the people that are, funding it. And then they value the shareholders. So that doesn't always work with those other two peoples. That's how corporations work. And, whether you like it or not, capitalism is a thing, at least in the United States. It's part of our society I think it's probably the better reason, but I see it shifting. AI, it's a better way than socialism, in my opinion. It's just my opinion, but I feel like it inspires greatness and people wanting to do better. So anyway, I'm not going to get off into politics. That's not what this is about. But my thought is that this is the change that we're having. I mean, I know everything is politics these days, though, right? But the change is that in society, we are shifting. We are going into something different, and it's almost unknown territory. When I first thought about Saturn and Neptune, my Pollyanna side was like, oh, we're going to chase our dreams and our ideals. And then we had that little preview in the spring. And I'm like, oh no, is this good? Because yes, it can be good. It doesn't necessarily mean that everybody is going to have the good experience, where it's not even just about your chart. It's about where you are in your life too. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. What is your whole thing? I don't know. Saturn and Neptune has been on my brain. I've been making a bunch of memes with Saturn and Neptune that I'll be sharing when I share these clips. So yeah, but I don't know. What are you thinking about that particular? Or maybe we shouldn't go out of order. Actually, maybe we should start in January. What do you think?
Okay, yeah. Let's do that, and then we'll hit that when we get to it.
Yeah.
And just so a heads up, what the info I sent Starlene was very discombobulated. So any out of sequence things or whatever are 100% my fault, because I changed it like 19 times and I couldn't really settle on the best way to do it. So we're just gonna let it fly, I think.
That sounds perfect to me. Yeah, so let's start off with January, like the first beginning of the year. I mean, we have Mars entering into Aquarius. That's on 123, right? Is that the first thing? Mars entering into Aquarius, the first big thing that we're looking at?
Oh, okay, yeah. No, that's probably the best way to do it, and then we can go back and hit the other things on it. That probably makes the most sense. So So like I said, like the first up through, I think the sun is going to, the first 3 weeks roughly are its own kind of, I like to break these down into like pieces. I think up through January 18th, or we'll call it January 19th, because that's the day that the sun goes into Aquarius. It's there's a lot of aspects the first 3 weeks of January, but
Mhm.
it's it's like a bunch of conjunctions with inner planets in Capricorn and stuff like that. And we'll go over that when we do the January shindig. But things really like are the first major gigantic energy leap of the year is like it starts like January 19th when the sun goes into Aquarius. And then there's a Venus Pluto conjunction in Aquarius, like 2 hours after the sun enters Aquarius. And then that Mars enters Aquarius on the 23rd. And so I think that's where, like, once Aquarius season starts, like we're quickly moving into just Strangeville, because that's and in fact when you look at, I'm see I'm already sabotaging us, I'm already jumping around. So like on we got Mars enters Aquarius, and then the same day there's the Sun Pluto conjunction. It's an hour. If Mars enters Aquarius, then an hour later there's a Sun Pluto conjunction in Aquarius.
Wow.
So it's like that's heavy duty. So really, you got like I'm babbling already. So I mean, like by the 23rd, there we've got Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Pluto all in Aquarius, and Sun, Mars, and Pluto are all like right on top of each other. So we've got Sun, Mars, and Pluto moving like, I mean, Mars Pluto conjunctions are violence. That's you you can put whatever lipstick on the pig that you want, but Mars and the most obvious outcome of Mars and Pluto in conjunction, especially in Aquarius. I mean, that's violence and fighting the system, and the sun's in there too. So the spotlight is on. Not that Mars and Pluto need any help,
No, they don't.
but you've got the sun right there too. You got a Sun Mars Pluto stellium. Like that is, I would, if I were a betting person, I would put there's going to be like some big event between, or a ton of big events between the evening of January 19th when the sun enters Aquarius, because there's a Mars Uranus trine at the same time too as that.
Mhm.
Um, because Mars is at the end of Capricorn on the 19th. Then by the 23rd, you've got that Sun, Mars, Pluto, and Mercury and Venus in there too. So you got five. You've got the outermost planet, and then like Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars. Those are the four innermost planets. You've got those meeting up with the king of the underworld, which is Pluto. So like that's that's a lot. I mean, there's normally kind of this malaise from like January 2nd through like January 19th or whatever, like before Aquarius season starts.
Mhm.
And we kind of have that this year, but it's the coming out of that is going to be a shocker.
Yeah, that does make sense. I feel like it's going to be a big shift. And I was looking at the transits for that time, and all of the Mercury, Mars, Sun, Neptune, Venus. I mean, and the moon crosses over. I'm looking at the chart of the 20th. That's when I think the sun enters into Aquarius. So it's like everything all at one time. And then it's all connecting to Saturn and Neptune, making a sextile, which is also trining to Uranus, which is, we saw this with a little bit in the spring, right? We saw that these sextiles taking place too, but we didn't have the inner planets also included in there. They were opposite sides of the chart or whatnot, so they were aspecting often, but of course they move much quicker. But this is the changing that I was kind of referring to in the beginning of the show, because we're shifting whether we like it or not. It's something is moving. And I think that's the best way to look at it, is that moving and changing and like taking inventory of where you're at and where you want to be, and then like making actions towards that. And the thing of it is, I think that society and everything is moving so quickly, it might be hard to project what you're going to be doing. So don't let that make you like a little cuckoo too, because I can see people reeling over that idea as well. So thinking about from the perspective of like, yes, this is going on, but also I'm going to keep myself controlled in that sense is
Right.
be helpful. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna pull up a couple charts. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna pull up the chart for the 23rd, I think it is. I wanted to pull up.
So yeah, while you're doing that, see, I jumped ahead already. So it's
That's
the
okay.
Sun Pluto conjunction is on the 23rd, and then the actual full Mars Pluto conjunction is on the 27th. But still, and that's another that was my original one of my points there, is we have a lot of the first half of the year. We have a lot of these groupings, because everything is going to be at the very end or very begin. The outer planets are going to be at the very end or very beginning of a sign. So when the sun, Mercury, and Venus travel pretty close together.
Yeah.
And for like every other year, or for half the year, every year, Mars is in the mix with like Sun, Mercury, and Venus too. Mars will be, for like the first half of the year this year, Mars will kind of be in with the inner planets.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got like several, I found 4 really big lineups where we've got like 4 or 5 or more planets in one sign at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all in the first, like, up through the middle of April. But then as the outer planets kind of start to get out there and they start to separate a little bit, and the inner planets move into, once the inner planets move into Cancer and Leo and Virgo and stuff, the second half of the year, that at least they kind of separate from the outer planets. But the first half of the year is just kind of a big car crash derby with all these big lineups of planets, and Mars making conjunctions to all the outer planets and stuff. So it's going to be
Rough.
yeah. And two, the other part there is January 26th is Neptune entering Aries. So Neptune enters Aries with that gigantic Aquarius lineup. So I think it's 3 days after the chart you put up there, then Neptune's in Aries.
Yeah.
And that,
Yeah.
and that
Can
kind of
you see
leaves
the chart then?
just
You can see the
Jupiter. And,
chart.
yeah. So that just kind of leaves like Uranus and Saturn at the end parts of I mean, Jupiter's still in Cancer through the middle of the year, but I mean, we're really, that chart there, I think is pretty definitive of what the vibe is going to be for the whole year. Just because too, we'd mentioned the 3 to 5 degrees of air and fire signs being, look, the moon's almost at 2 degrees there, Mars is at 0. Then you've got Neptune and the Sun and Mercury all in that 3 to 5 degree area. That is going to be a central theme for this year.
Yeah. I mean, and just like you said, a couple of days after this, I just pulled up an image, so I can't adjust the time because it makes it bigger. But if you just imagine a few days into this, of course, the sun is moving, but also Mars is coming closer to Pluto, so it's making that connection there and at the early degrees. So this is, this is big. And then the sun and Mercury are also close. So this is setting off some kind of chain of events, if you will. Always, I think
Absolutely.
I think of Pluto and it gets to the deep depth, the nth degree of things, and then Mars is the activation of it. I heard one time I interviewed Joni Patry, and although she's a Vedic astrologer, but she had mentioned that Saturn or Mars is the trigger for things, and I have noticed that ever since. I had noticed it, but her just saying it that way really stuck in my head. And so when you have other configurations and Mars is triggering those other configurations, that's like when the event happens, and that is really telling. I mean, that's true of any system of astrology that I know of, whether it's Vedic or Western astrology like we are. But yeah, there's definitely that trigger that I'm anticipating something likely triggering during this time, giving us an opportunity for some kind of shifts to go. I'm trying to be positive thinking, right. But I don't always think that's necessarily a positive thing when you have Mars and Pluto together, close to making aspects to Uranus, especially, and Mars was just leaving a few days prior to this, the trine to Uranus as well. So you can see that, and that trine to Uranus, that I mean, people say that trines are good, but I also can see them as being challenges as well. If there's the ability to flow, the challenge can be difficult. There can be something can get hung up, and Mars and Uranus do represent things that are potentially big, explosive, whatever, that kind of thing, surprises. Because Uranus, the idea of Uranus is the shift and changing, this outside of the box, the surprises, the instant moment, in that moment, it doesn't care about before or after, and if you see too, Uranus is making, at that time, Uranus is right about 27, and same with Saturn and Neptune, very close. So they're making this little triangle in the sky with Mars, and then Mars comes to Pluto. So it's I know it's a little farther away. Pluto is a little farther away than those other planets, but this is a prelude to the Mars Pluto thing. So could be a chain of events happening. That's why I kind of said that. What do you think about that? Do you have any ideas of what that could be? Chains of events could be happening.
So I totally agree with what Joni Paltry was saying, because that's when you have these big lineups, these big conglomerations of things happening, and it's well, what's the trigger going to be? And it's it seems to tend to be Mars, and then if there's full moon or something in there. That
Yeah.
can be another thing that, but yeah, I talk because it can get kind of daunting to kind of figure out like, okay, which of these 19 transits that happen in a 3-day period, which one's going to be the one that, and so I think that like looking back to the 19th where we have the sun entering Aquarius and a Mars Uranus trine, I think that's the turning on the flame on the stove and starting to
Simmer.
adjust the flame up higher. But then like when we get to there where you're at now, that chart you've got up there, like we're kind of like
In
it's
the middle of it.
it's chaotic. It's chaotic at that point.
Yeah.
And then 3 days later when Neptune enters Aries, and then a day after that when there's the exact Mars Pluto conjunction, then you've really got the what one of my takeaways from the whatever 4 or 5 months we had a Neptune in Aries was it was just uh all of the psychic cosmic sludge that people had disturbed during the whatever 14 years of Neptune and Pisces on and off. Like that came out. Like there was when we had
It did. It felt like a lot of people were also like stuck on their ideals so much, and nothing wrong with having certain ideals, but like stuck so hard that it was almost becoming a violent projection,
yes.
if you will. Right. It was really weird. And I was kind of surprised because my thought was it wasn't going to be so much like that, but I don't think that I had the right mindset that things do get a little sticky. And it's just because where are you at in life? I mean, if you're in a really peaceful place and you're in a monastery hanging out, probably things are going to be a little more chill for you. But if you're dealing with regular life and people, that's where hiccups could happen. So yeah, it's kind of it can be kind of a challenge. I'm going to see if I can share my my Sirius program. I don't know if it allows me to. Can you see it? No, it doesn't show, right?
No.
Okay. So yeah, it only showed yeah, it didn't show, it only shows the images. So okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I mean it's I mean that was back to kind of where I said that like Saturn and Neptune are not happy in Aries because Aries is a shoot first, ask questions later, move, keep moving, go conquer. Aries is very much, and I mean because Aries is the ruler of Mars, so it's very much that's kind of how the moon and Mars I think is really how we kind of experience our everyday life, like, and the moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun also, but
Mhm.
like Mars and the moon is kind of the emotions that are in our face at any given second. That's the it's not the bigger picture, but it's the energies we're going to be dealing with at that moment.
Mhm. Yeah. It is. It is.
And Mars kind of has that you know depending on what sign it is, you can kind of have that the quick trigger. But Neptune is the subconscious, and it's rules Pisces. It's all the flowery things and the pink purple haze, the pink haze we talk about and everything. That's
Mhm.
definitely the Neptune. And then Saturn is ruled by Capricorn. Saturn rules Capricorn. So
Right.
that's rules, restrictions, societal norms. That's how our world is set up and the structure of things. So when you've got both of those in Aries, which just wants to go, then there's there's a conflict built into that pie. There's just the and I think we saw that last year with Saturn and Neptune and Aries. It was just the things that people would keep in their head just instantaneously came out, and we're going to see a lot of Saturn and Neptune and Aries is not going to be a mellow kumbaya my lord moment. It's going to be there's not going to be any Michael row the boat ashore uplifting. This is going to be like, how do we turn the things in our subconscious into action?
Yeah, no, that makes sense with the Aries part of it, because Aries wants to actually move. And yes. Yeah, that idea of movement, it's like, it's big. I pulled up just a couple days prior to what we were looking at on the 23rd, just to show the Mars and Pluto conjunction. I mean, it's a few minutes apart, but this is the date of it. And also we got the moon and Uranus there too, making that conjunction on that day. I didn't do that intentionally. I just pulled up
on algal.
Make the sex house of Saturn. Yeah.
That moon Uranus conjunction is on algal. And remember what happened last year with
2024, right? Yeah. When algal was on this
2025, that was the, was that? Oh my God.
No, it was 24 because it was July. It was before he was elected.
Right. Oh my God.
I know. I feel
that
like
really
the world is like moving so quickly. But yeah, that's exactly it. That was when Trump was shot in his ear, and it was on his midhaven. Was it his midhaven?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah, because it was algal, Mars, and Uranus on his. I remember telling some friends of mine, like, oh, be careful, and before it happened, because I'm like, Mars and Uranus are not really good. And I did mention algal being a fixed star, so I do research on fixed stars specifically. And one of my friends who was kind of like not a believer of astrology was like, called me right after it happened, and was like, why did you say that? What? And I'm like, it's astrology, dude. Like, how do you not, like, you don't grasp it? And he doesn't understand it, so whatever. But it was just, it's wild, because you don't really realize that these configurations of multiple planets, especially when there's multiple planets, they do have weight, and they create differences, things that happen at different times. So it's pretty wild when you think about it. Yeah.
And two, okay, I'll come to that next thing I was going to say later.
Okay.
It fits in better later.
Yeah. So okay, so where are we at in this list here? Because I'm a little bit not sure.
Yeah, because I started jumping around.
It's okay. This is one.
So I think that's the definite. That's one of the top. I see like 3 time periods that are above the others for this year, and that's one of the 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm going to pull up the Saturn conjunct Neptune on 220. So we can look at that chart, because like, I'm not going to pull up every chart for the whole year.
Right. Yeah, but these are important.
But these are important. And I'll just do 12 p.m. because that makes it easier.
So February 13th, Saturn enters Aries. So that's a week. So we've got a week of, before the chart you're going to pull up, we've got a week of Saturn and Neptune both in Aries, and Neptune's already been there, but Saturn moves a little faster. So it's the February 20th you were going to pull up. That's right. The conjunction, the exact conjunction of
Tell me what you think about Saturn in Aries, like specifically just Saturn in Aries. Like, what are you feeling that has in it? Like anything specifically, or is it more like just?
So, so to me, I mean, we've talked ad nauseum about that, the Civil War stuff and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that I think that that's already going on, but I don't. It's not going to be like the 1865 Civil War where
No.
it's the North against the South. It's
Oops.
I mean, if anybody who watched the news last weekend, I mean, you saw it right there. It's the pockets of violence, um, just kind of randomly placed in different spots. I mean, like we had 3 mass shootings in one day.
Mm.
So
Wow.
plus a whole bunch of other stuff. So to me, Saturn is the control structure. Saturn is how society is set up, and then in Aries, that's a constant fighting against the control system. That's a constant fighting against how things are set up. And
Mm.
so while ultimately, Saturn can outlast Aries, I think that there is going to be tweaks and complete change. I mean, look, every system of everything on this planet is on its way out at varying speeds, right? I mean,
Right.
everything is changing, and it's going to change
Yeah.
fairly quickly.
It's almost like it's futile to try to not let it change, like that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So like what I've been telling all my clients for the last year, like all my astrology clients, is like, that anything pre 2020 is gone. Like almost every single solitary part of my life, except for a few people, it has changed dramatically. Like since, I mean, I know that was 5 years ago, but still, it's changed a lot more than it has in any other 15-year period of my life. It changed that much in the last 5 years. So things are going. We're not going to keep things from changing. I think what's the important thing to do now is, since like we're at the end of the 2020 to 2025, early 2026 period, which is the breakdown rebirth period.
Right.
So that's the last 5 years have been all the old things going away. I think the important thing now is to birth or rebirth anything that you want in your life. If you've had long time goals and you didn't accomplish them by 2020 or shortly after, then you probably need to modify your goals, or at least how you're doing things, because that part of the timeline is gone.
Mm. That's a good point too.
So
Changing it. Yeah.
so I think that's what the positive part of the Saturn and Neptune and Aries can be. Is, I mean, they're not just at 0 degrees Aries. That's 0 degrees of the zodiac, because 0 Aries is the beginning of the zodiac. So that is a very, very clear signal of rebirth. We've gone through uh, a large part of the death thing. Now is the struggle to be reborn. So you you probably shouldn't, and most people I know are not, but you probably should not be feeding too much energy into old things or trying to get things back how they were. You're going to be much better off, you know. Now's if you want to change things, now's the energy. Got two outer planets at 0 degrees of Aries. That's the rebirth like the ultimate rebirth signature. Having two outer planets at 0 Aries, and good or bad, probably good, is that Saturn moves a lot faster than Neptune, Uranus, or Pluto. It's only going to be in Aries until April of 2028. So you got 2 years to kind of rebuild, 2 years and a couple months to kind of rebuild what you want your reality to look like. Now, the worst part is the most difficult part is the falling away of the old things. And I think most people have gone through that already.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, that seems like that's been a lot of that has been going on, and people, and it's hard because when we are so used to a certain system, I mean, all of us collectively are used to a certain system, and then it changes. That's the challenge. You know, we have this challenge because we don't necessarily know what to do with those changes because they're different, they're new, and like the answer is not always clear. And I think that with Neptune making that conjunction with Saturn in the very first degree of the zodiac, the tropical zodiac, 0 degrees of Aries, is like a reset of sorts, but the answer is not going to be necessarily clear because Neptune's not necessarily always perfect clarity. It's things are kind of, you're not sure what happens, but you end up sorting it out, you know. But Saturn is that restructuring of things, you know, of our way of doing. Have you heard about, I'm sure you've heard about this, but the what do they call it, universal income or something like that? Like, I don't know the ins and outs of that, but
I think it's UBI, Universal Basic Income.
yeah. And that's, so that goes back to what I was saying before. I wasn't going to get political, but that goes back to the idea of like, is that smart? Because is it bad? Is it good? I don't know. I don't have really an answer. I don't know enough about it, but I do know that human beings by nature get lazy, and if we don't have to do something, we won't by nature. Not everyone is like that, but as a collective, that's just how humans are built. So it's easier to sit and watch Netflix or whatever thing you're going to watch than it is to actually do hard work. So the reason I think capitalism specifically is helpful, so it creates incentive to innovation, and without incentive to innovation, you end up being the same. You're just sitting and flipping through Netflix and you don't care, you know, like you're not incentivized to doing better. So I mean, like, I agree we should help people. That's not it. It's not that I'm, you know, not like this, like I love corporations, because I don't, you know, I think that they have a lot of negative stuff there, but I also think that there's positive stuff too. So it's like, how can we as a collective, you know, decide to figure out how to make this better? You know, is the universal income, I don't know, is that right? Is that going to just make us lazy, and then we're all like nobody's really tending the fields then, and we don't have food because there's no farmers? I mean, I don't know the answer to that. Clearly, one person, one podcast is not going to actually give you the answer to that question. But I feel like this Neptune, Saturn conjunction in Aries, Pluto is just going into Aquarius, you know, I mean, it's been for a little while now, but these are all the shifts that are getting us to like see, hey, these systems of the past were not necessarily working right, and now we need to figure out the right way to make them work. So for one good example of this, and people may argue this point, is like our institutions, meaning our educational institutions in the United States. I don't know anywhere else, but you know, you can still obviously go to these universities and pay tons of money to go to these universities, but then you are in major debt unless you're really wealthy, your family's really wealthy, and then you're in major debt and you're scrambling to get this great job that you may not even have because AI replaced it. You know, like, I'm not saying it's going to replace us, but you know, like, and then what do you do? You know what I mean? So it's like, I know multiple people that went and got degrees, university degrees, and ended up like not being able to find a job easily because, you know, things shifted, you know? So I think that's just one example of a ton, you know? And I think across the board, what you were saying earlier, how the timeline is changing, I think that's so true, because it's like everything is starting to shift, and we're needing to figure out ways and solutions and how to do that, you know? And it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do, but I think that's what's going to help us collectively move forward. So my, you know, positive mindset that I do have a positive mindset about most things, is that, you know, looking at what the solution could be, as opposed to like, you know, just bitching about it. Although bitching about it sometimes makes you feel a little better. You get it out, right, and then they say to yourself, okay, now how do I fix it? You know, so there's, you know, it's understandable for both things to take place. And, you know, we don't live in a vacuum. Not every one thing is just all of everything, you know, just like astrology is not all of everything, you know, it's one component of it. And it, it gives you the energy of what is possible, you know. So this chart I pulled up was the date that, I don't know if it's the exact time or not, but it's the Saturn Neptune conjunction that happens at 0 degrees of Aries. So, it actually is the same exact time. I put in noon, so it happens to be the same. It's probably conjunct for a few minutes or so on that day. And you see how close Pluto is too. It's making like, it's 4 degrees away, but they're going to get closer to that Pluto semi-sextile there. It's going to be more exact. Not semi-sextile, semi-square. Sorry, that little one right up there between Pluto and. But that is going to bring this, you know, opportunity for us to dig deeper to figure out what those changes are on a level of, you know, what are we ideally looking for? What is our dreams, our ideals? How can we make them concrete? You know, if I'm just energetically speaking about the planets, I would say that Saturn wants to trim the fat, let go of the things that aren't important, and Neptune wants to follow the dreams. What does that look like for you? You know, and Pluto is going to give the chance to, like, when Pluto is involved with those two, they will be moved a little further apart, and that time is a little further from this chart. But you're going to get an opportunity to see what changes can you make, what can you contribute? Because, you know, hey, we're all on the big blue marble together. Nobody is just alone. We're like, that isn't how we work. Yeah.
So yeah, one other thing I want to throw in there is, and it's in one of the boxes up there, but on the 17th, which is just 3 days before that, there's an eclipse at almost 29 Aquarius, which will be loosely conjunct the Mars in Aquarius, and it'll be square to Uranus and Algol at, you know, that's at 27.5 Taurus there. So that's in the middle. That's that eclipse is 3 days before the exact Saturn Neptune conjunction. And you've got Mars and Uranus involved in it.
Yeah. Wow.
And Algol.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't even think about that, but you're right. And then Algol too. So that's interesting. Yeah.
So that again, I mean, that's just another explosive period. I mean, that's 1 week period. You've got Saturn entering Aries, an eclipse square Mars and Uranus, and then the exact Saturn Neptune conjunction. That's 1 week. That's all happening in the same week. And still you've got the Yeah, like, Pluto was sextile Saturn and Neptune at that point, like you were saying. I mean, so that's a lot of that's a lot.
Yeah,
That's all.
it is a lot. It really is. Um, so let's move on. This is February. What else in February were we wanting to like cover? So that was, yeah, Saturn moving into Aries. Neptune moved into Aries late January, which we already talked about. So then they conjunct in February in this chart. And then, I mean, March is not very eventful, I think, right? March, Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, North Node, and Pisces. Do they conjunct?
Um, well, I guess that's the other thing there with the chart you had up is on February 18th and let's see, probably
Oh,
18th and
sorry, I
9th,
skipped charts.
first part of the 19th too. I mean, we've got Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Saturn, and the North Node all in Pisces. So they're not all at this in the same degrees, but look, there's a Sun, North Node, Venus. I know that's loose, 10 degrees between Sun and Venus, but you've got that, and like
This one,
no,
the one before.
it's February 18th and 19th. It was a day before that chart you had up.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, yeah.
So,
I
so
got
yeah,
I think I closed that chart, but yeah. I can reopen it.
so there's a big lineup in Pisces there, and but it's much less harsh than some of the others because I mean Saturn's involved, but Saturn is at the end of Pisces, and the Sun's at the beginning of Pisces. Venus and Mercury are kind of close together in the middle of it. Um, and the North Node's so it's kind of more like a North Node Sun Venus conjunction, and then um, Mercury's towards the end, and then Saturn's. So that one's like a little more loose, but there is 5 planets in Pisces at the same time. And then when you move into March, there's another 5 planet lineup in Pisces on March 3rd, but it's Sun, Mercury, Venus, and then Mars has moved in to Pisces, and the North Node's there. So like the March 3rd is an interesting chart. If
Let me see. I'm saving it. March 3rd, you said?
Yeah, March 3rd would be a good one to look at.
Okay, let me just pull that one up. And I can share it. Oh yeah,
Mars.
they're all like they're also making aspects. Hold on, let me just pull this up.
Yeah. So like Mars is going to enter Mars is going to enter Pisces on March 2nd. So that's going to be a big slowdown of the moving from Aquarius, which is going to be very electric, into Pisces, which is going to be very much like the subconscious. And see, there you've got like the Mercury and Venus conjunction towards the end of Pisces. So this is also much more spread out, but it's still there's 5 planets in Pisces, and the Sun and Mercury are opposite the Moon on that day.
Right, and this is actually the almost the chart of the full moon too. So the full moon actually, because you see the opposition of the two planets, but the full moon is a little before this chart, maybe a few hours, because Mercury is only 15 degrees. I mean, the moon is only 15 degrees, but that's the chart of basically of the new moon. It's full moon. So yeah, that's interesting because all the other things that are going on as well, making these aspects even to Jupiter at 15 degrees. Well, it'll be probably 13 degrees when it actually exacts.
Yeah, the full moon's it's at 12:54.
Okay.
12:54 minutes. So that, I mean, that's 13 degrees.
Right. Right. Yeah. Okay. So but I mean, it's still coming to that closeness with Jupiter as well. So I mean, when there's multiple planets, that I think that's just my view, is that it's more impactful when there's multiple planets involved in these configurations. That's why when you said Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, North Node, all in Pisces, I mean, it's true. Look at it. Like Mars just enters the picture and
Yeah.
makes it strong. But March itself is a little like uneventful, considering some of the other things that have go on during the year. There's a lunar eclipse on 3/3. You said at 13 Virgo. Oh, this is an eclipse chart. No, the eclipse chart is going to be on the 3rd. Yeah, it is the eclipse chart, right?
Yes, it's a lunar eclipse at 13 Virgo.
Okay. And then I'm going to pull up the solar eclipse too. So what do you feel is stronger, or maybe you don't, I don't know if you have an opinion on that, but what do you feel is stronger, a lunar or a solar eclipse?
I think it depends on what,
everything else.
If they're hitting other planets and stuff like that. I've seen people say one or the other is more powerful, but I've found it kind of has to do with, is it close to an outer planet stationing, or is it just an eclipse, or is it like this with an eclipse where you got, additional other planets involved in there and stuff like that? Because even there, the Sun and Mercury are both trine to Jupiter, and then you've also got the what was the other thing I saw there? Anyways, it's gone out of my head now, but it was I mean, you got the Pluto sextile to Saturn and Neptune, which is actually tightening up because Saturn and Neptune are moving faster than Pluto.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually starting to get closer to, and then you still got the Uranus just hanging out there at the end of Taurus, waiting to move into Gemini in the middle part of the year.
Yeah.
So I would put that February period we talked about with Saturn entering Aries, the lunar eclipse, or the eclipse at 29 Aquarius, and then the Saturn conjunct Neptune. I would put that as the one of the other of the big three energies.
Mm-hmm.
So I would put January 19th through 27th as one of them, and then February 13th through 20th as another one of the three biggest energies of the year. And then there's one one more super wacko one down a little bit. But I think really like the is there, where did I go?
I wanted
to
go back a little bit and like touch on the February eclipse, because the February eclipse, we didn't really talk too much about that. It's a solar eclipse, right?
It is a solar eclipse. It's the one at 29 Aquarius that's square Mars and Algol.
Oh yeah, that's that. So let me just pull this up. Okay. I'm pulling up all the eclipse charts so we can actually look at the the eclipses.
It's at 7:01 a.m. on
Yeah,
the
I
7th.
just, yep, I pulled them all up and I'm just saving them so I can
Oh,
show
okay.
them to you. Yep. Um, in Sirius, you can just pull up lunations and eclipse charts. So I just pulled them all up. So this one I can show. There we go. That's the eclipse chart in February, February 17th. So a lot is going on during that time. I mean, we talked about some of it, the sun and moon, as you see that right there, making that's the new moon. New moon eclipses, I mean, new moon, so lunar eclipses, I should say it like that. Sorry, solar eclipses. I feel like mm, maybe the lunar eclipses seem to have an emotional like undertone to it more than the new moon eclipses. I don't know. That's just I say new moon eclipses, but they're actually solar eclipses. So I don't know. I'm confusing myself and probably anybody listening, but I feel like the solar eclipses are not as emotionally driven than the lunar ones. I don't know if that's been your perception or not, though. But
Yeah.
right, it does matter if the other things that are going on during that time, clearly.
So I mean, just with that one, I mean, to me, like new moons are almost always low energy,
Hmm.
and so where we're sitting right now, December 18th, there's a new moon tomorrow night on Friday, December 19th.
Hmm.
There's a new moon in Sag, and I just expect that to just kind of the energy to be a lot lower than it normally would be with Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Venus in Sagittarius. I just the new moon is the dark of the moon, and it just kind of it's a good time for like setting um you know putting forth things that you want to grow to fruition, but it's not a big I do not see the new moons as big energies in general.
Hmm.
Now this one though, I mean, the sun and moon are conjunct Mars, and it's square Uranus and Algol. So
Mm.
this one has a little more bite than most of them. However, just to contradict what I just said, the sun and moon are both uh, 9 degrees past Mars. So that would, I mean, Mars has its own, Mars and Aquarius has its own energy range. But being that the sun and moon are past it already by like 10 degrees,
Hmm.
hopefully that keeps the energy level at a moderate rate.
Oops, I'm going into the wrong chart. Sorry. Um, okay. So we looked at the eclipse. We looked at both eclipses. There's only the two early in the year, and then we have two more in August. So we'll get to those. So this is March. This is February, and then we went to March as well. So great. Um,
And then it's a little bit dry for a little while until we get to the middle of April. Um,
hmm.
like April 16th, we've got Sun, Moon, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, Neptune, and Chiron all in Aries. So we got seven bodies in Aries for a couple days. Now the moon will move out of that, in 2.5 days. But still, there's Sun, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, Neptune, Chiron, all in Aries
Yeah.
around April 16th.
Yep. Yep. Well, this is, I pulled up April 6th, April 18th, just
That's yeah.
just after that,
Oh,
it's when it happens. Yeah. But I mean, that's when the sun and moon come very close. A couple of days after this, come very close to the Saturn and Neptune conjunction. Well, they're moving further away at this point, but still.
that one's for March 18th. It says on there.
Yeah. Oh, you were talking about February.
We're talking about April.
Oh, haha. We're on the same month. Okay, let me fill up April because I actually have April. Or maybe I don't. April 17th, right? Let me just save it.
This I know on the 16th there's all those. If you do early in the day on the 17th, that'll have Moon and Aries with the other guys.
Yep. I wish I could just show the April right there. April 17th. I wish I could just show Sirius, but it won't let me. It just only lets me show images. So for some reason it's like weird. But there you go. I mean, this is a few days before. So there's the new moon, sun and moon right there. And also that's when Mars comes to make a sextile pretty strong to Pluto. That's interesting. During the April 17th, you were saying that all the planets in Aries, though, but see, it's like the Aries stellium.
Yeah, that on the screen it's showing March 18th again.
Oh, it is. So I changed it. Yeah. I thought I changed it, but maybe I need to like stop it and start it again. Technology behave. There we go. Yeah.
All right.
Myself, I am an Aquarius. Look at that stellium. And imagine a kid being born during this time. And of course there will be, but like imagine this because like, wow, it's amazing when you think about all those Aries planets.
Well, yeah, I mean, just look at, you got 4 things between, almost 3 and 7.5 degrees.
Yeah.
You got a Neptune Mercury conjunction in Aries, and then Mars and Saturn. I mean, all 4 of those are within 4 degrees of each other. That's a lot. And that's not even. And then look how close on the back end. Look how close Chiron is to the sun and moon on that new moon. It's conjunct Chiron. The new moon's conjunct Chiron.
Yeah.
So you've got two separate Aries stellar. I don't know if people would count Chiron and moon as a stellium, but still you got two big Aries lineups there.
Yeah. I'm going to show you the midpoints for this time period too, because it'll give you another layer to look at. So, and it's wild because I think that that's something, it just kind of drives home that they might be wider apart, but they're actually making midpoints to each other too. So it's going to be, it's important, So there you go. There's the midpoints that are going on during that time. And that speaks to all of those planets that were happening. And look at how tight all those midpoints are. Some of them are just minutes away from each other. The sun, Venus, Neptune, the moon, Venus, Neptune. Obviously, the sun and moon are going to have the same because it's exactly during the new moon. But this is just reinforcing that whole bunch of planets in Aries are not just making aspects, but they're making these midpoints that are also being triggered. If you're someone with an Aries placement, planets or whatnot, this I would expect you to have certain experiences during this time that seem powerful. It doesn't necessarily mean this one to me. I mean, I don't know. What are you thinking about it in terms of like difficulty or challenges? Do you think it's like going to be one of those times where things are difficult or more challenging, or not, because the Venus Mars energy is in there as well?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Venus Mars conjunctions.
Really?
I am 100% not a fan of. I was just going to point out on the midpoint thing you had there was all of the midpoints. Look at how many are between 15 and 17 of Aries.
I know.
Moon Neptune, Sun Neptune, Moon Mercury, Sun Mercury, Moon Mars, Sun Mars, Moon Saturn, Sun Saturn.
And so, they're all midpoints, like midpoint trees, not just midpoint, right. Like many. So even though what I guess my point in wanting to show the midpoints is that even though there's a wide distance between the aspects, conjunctions, the midpoints there are very strong. And they'll be, since they're moving, they'll be varying in degrees over time. We're looking at just a snapshot here, but they'll be varying in degrees over time. But this time period is a time of things shifting. Uranus, Pluto, Neptune, Mars, I mean, all of it is really mixed in there. And the Mars is Mars, a big one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when there's a lot of things in Aries, I mean, things are definitely moving, very rapidly. I mean, that is a, that's a lot. That's a lot right there. If you've got planets in that 15 to 17 degree area, and I've had discussions with people on midpoints too, and it's like, I mean, some of them are not as noticeable as others, but when you've got, I mean, a midpoint is, it's got the energy of both those planets.
Right. All three planets, right. Right.
Yeah, it's like it's an aspect.
Right.
And there's absolutely super powerful energies at the midpoints. So like that's a lot of, if you've got stuff between 15 and 7, or even 13 and 19 Aries, I mean, that's definitely a key. That's going to be a big new moon for you personally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely is going to be a big one. Even though it's a new moon, we just contradicted ourselves by saying the new moon is like not typical. Right. Oh well, it is what it is. But
life is full of contradictions.
Right, and that's the thing. It's not everything. Nothing happens in a vacuum. It's all connected to everything. So there we are with that. Yeah. Okay, so this is April. Let's move on to May. What's going on in May?
So,
you said like May
so
is
actually we missed the biggest thing in April there, the Uranus entering Gemini.
Yeah, Uranus entering into, oh my goodness gracious. That's a big one too. And that's the last time, right, that Uranus enters into Gemini, right?
Yes. And so that at that point, that's when that Uranus starts the trine to Pluto, and you've got the Saturn Neptune conjunction. So that's where really like all 4 outer planets are in the signs they're going to be in for the next 2 years and 2 months. And then even after Saturn moves out, you're still going to have Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, which are all move slowly. in those signs. But that, I mean, that's the chart for the next couple years.
Mm-hmm.
Uranus and Gemini, Saturn and Neptune and Aries, Pluto, and and you know, Uranus is going to be forming a series of trines to Pluto, and it kind of goes back to what you said earlier about, you know, I think we talked about this too in one of the shows where we were talking about tornadoes, and it's like trines are free flowing energy, but you may not want it, you may not want the energy to flow that freely.
Yeah, because
You
if
know,
right, it can be chaotic. It can turn something into
it's unleashed chaos.
right.
It's unleashed chaos.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. And that's the ingress chart of Neptune. I mean, Uranus into Gemini. And we've still got that wild stellium. But I mean, it's interesting too, because Uranus just a couple days before was actually making that conjunction to Venus too. So that is, I mean, that only lasts for a short time,
Oh,
but that happens right?
probably at the end of Taurus.
Right at the end of Taurus, probably like 29 Taurus. Yeah, I would say. Because this is the moment Uranus moves. And Uranus doesn't go back into Taurus again. This is the last time in our
Yeah, that's the
year.
last time any of the outer planets are going to change signs for, you know, until April of 2028.
That's interesting.
And
The moon is making that square as well. The square, and then it's also it's making the square to the moon, Uranus and the moon, and then it's what else is going on here? Oh no, that's Venus to Neptune. That would be the next thing I would look at, probably Venus, Neptune, and Pluto making this, because Venus moves a little bit further, a couple degrees. It's going to be making this trine here, trine sextile. I don't know if there's a name for that pattern, but that would be Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and that would make me think that you're going to potentially have something to dig deep into within the psyche. You know, Uranus, not Uranus. I keep saying Uranus. I meant Venus. Uranus is there too, though it's just further away. But Venus, Neptune, and Pluto. And what do you think of that? Like those three planets together, like bringing things right?
yeah. So you said Venus, Uranus, Pluto, right?
Yep, Venus, Pluto, and Neptune. So see it,
Oh,
see the trine,
yeah,
or sextile, trine. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, so to me, like, Venus kind of represents people. Um, and so with the Pluto and the Uranus in there, or the Neptune, Pluto and Neptune in there, you've got Pluto trine Venus is going to be like uh, unconventional people,
Mm-hmm.
because the Pluto's in Aquarius. And so to me, that's, you're going to see weird, like, there was something I noticed recently how many, well, it wasn't actually that recently, but how many people um that, like, whose birthday is close to yours, that have like that 0, 1 degree Aquarius sun,
Mm-hmm.
just like how many of them have just gotten, love and hate, but they're just super popular. Like, they have that Pluto magnetism with Pluto like on their sun. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it was like there was like somebody in like every major sport, like that was being talked about at the same time. Like the most talked about person was all somebody that had planets or normally their sun right around that like 0 1 degree of Aquarius. And then there was a couple other celebrities too that I don't remember who it was at this point, but it's just,
There's
you
a
know, Pluto.
Yeah.
Pluto just has that magnetism to
Yeah.
wherever it's traveling through. Um, so like it was the Pluto and the Neptune. The Pluto sextile the Neptune, to me, that's Pluto's getting to the bottom of things. And Neptune, Neptune at 0 Aries is going to be new forms of spirituality. I think people are going to view, whatever, God, church, how they, they're going to re-envision their spiritual lives. They're just going to find, and it doesn't, even with like all the planets and all the outer planets and masculine signs, it doesn't have to always be a violent overthrow or a, hostile takeover. I think especially the Gemini, but also too a little bit lesser the Aries and the Aquarius. They need a certain amount of excitement to keep their attention.
Mm.
They can get bored easily because their brains just run at such a high speed, and that if there doesn't have to be a we're going to kill this thing or destroy it. It may just not hold people's attention anymore, and it may just, there's no declaration of, this religion's gone or this church or whatever. It may just be there's no interest in it anymore. It may just be just it's past its time to change. So I think that's another part. And again, it's Venus and Uranus in with that Neptune and Pluto, and Venus being people on one level. That's and the other part of Venus is your personal values and morals. I think it will change what people want out of spirituality, God, religious gatherings, whatnot. I think it'll just people will just kind of want something different. And I'm not predicting that all the religions of the world are going to go away or anything like that. I think it's just going to change, like how people gather together and how they express their spirituality and stuff. But, I mean, we're definitely at a spiritual reset. I mean, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, Uranus, all at the low degrees of signs. I mean, that's definitely Saturn conjunct Neptune in 0 Aries is definitely a spiritual reset, as well as like a 3D reset. So,
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. It definitely is. It's a shift for for us to change, and I mean we need that. I think that's what the world is crying for, the change at this point.
yeah.
Yeah. Um. Okay, let's look at what do we have next to look at.
So June, I think there's 2 sign changes in June.
So yeah, June. Well, did we do May? May was Pluto station
There
retrograde.
was
That's about it. Yeah.
Oh, did I? Oh, I delete. Oh, yep. No, you're correct. I didn't copy that one correctly. How about that? Yes, May 6th.
Yeah, May
You're correct.
Pluto station retrograde, right? Station retrograde. Yeah. So just, we can look at that quickly. There's the Pluto station. It might not be the exact time. It's already, because I just didn't look at the time for this one, but it's at 5 Aquarius. That's right on my Venus. Yay. I have like so many planets on the, and then my Mercury will be next. But yeah, it's station retrograde. And
it's at 6 Aquarius is the degree I had.
Okay.
Yeah, I had. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
fat fingered
that. That's okay. But I mean, the point is it's around there. So, and I was gonna see if I could find the other one, Pluto station retrograde, right there. It lasts until October
15th.
October 15th, right? So,
And that's,
yep. So from
with
May,
a station.
July, August, September, October, 6 months. Yep. So that'll be interesting. I mean, this is a time frame of things. When you think about Pluto stationing, there's not nothing conjuncting it in that moment. But is there anything specific you anticipate with Pluto stations?
Yeah, I mean, I think when Pluto stations oh, that yes, that's where it's stationing retrograde. That, I mean, I think that's just a part where there's usually big fit. Like, to me, Taurus season is usually earthquake season. That's because Taurus, I think, rolls the earth. But I think, when Pluto goes retrograde, that's kind of a time where the outward evolution slows down a little bit, and then it kind of retreats back into our head for a few months.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Pluto microscope that likes to get to the bottom of things is kind of just like working in the background in our heads for 5 months there, where it we just are analyzing and looking at our motivations and our resources and things, and how to better evolve and stuff. Like, it kind of, Pluto just kind of moves into the background, where it's just like it's running processes in the back of your head.
Yeah,
So
that
I think we're figuring out the next move.
Right, that makes sense. And I just wanted to show with contrast to see what we're looking at with this retrograde cycle with Pluto. So the next thing that happens with Pluto when it goes station direct, it's I'm going to share that one here. So this will be in at least, maybe if it's not the exact minute to the minute, but this is the day that it goes station direct, which is October. So until October we have that, and then this is where Pluto is. So Pluto ends up being at 3 degrees Aquarius. So in the whole station time, it's only moving a couple degrees. It's just moving so slow. We know that it moves slow, but this is the cycle it is. And it's interesting too, because it also is making a square to Venus during that time. So it went from the aspect of wasn't Pluto aspecting, maybe it wasn't aspecting Venus. It wasn't when it was station retrograde. I'm mistaken on that one. It was squaring the sun, Mercury.
It's squaring Venus,
but it is,
yeah,
during the station direct, and that's in October.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, I don't know, I had a moment of not thinking it through. So that's pretty much May, the big things in May. And what about June? The big thing in June here, Chiron entering Taurus. How often is it that Chiron switches signs?
I think it's 25. It's 25 to 26 years, I believe.
Oh, that goes through the zodiac.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's how long it takes to have a Chiron return. So that means like 3 years or something, 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's because chronologically, Chiron is between Saturn and Uranus. I believe I have that right. I think Chiron is between Saturn and Uranus, so it's slightly longer transit, or is it between? It's between Jupiter and Saturn, isn't it?
I don't know, but I'm gonna find out.
It's I haven't thought of that. It's between Saturn. No. Yes. Okay. It's
Saturn and Uranus. Yeah.
between Saturn and Uranus.
Mm-hmm.
I was right the first time. So it probably stays in the sign for about 2.5 to 3 years then.
Yeah, because you have your Chiron return at 51
Like,
or so, 50, 51.
yeah.
You know, when it,
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, that does make sense. And I think Chiron has more of an elliptical orbit, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I think it moves much faster through half of the zodiac than it does the other half.
Yeah. For about it says 7 to 8 years, 7 to 9 years, but depending on it, because it's eccentric. I just asked Google, and that makes sense. So yeah, but Chiron will be moving into Taurus on the 19th of June. So that will be an interesting change, right?
Yeah. So I mean, Chiron is wounded healer, so I personally think that like Chiron should probably be the ruler of Virgo. I think we need to get rid of the two um the signs that rule two different the planets that rule two different signs. I kind of feel like they kind of need divided up because I think the Virgo archetype I think fits very well with the Chiron attributes. Just the wounded healer, they're very good, health conscious, very good at helping other people, but sometimes they have a hard time, healing their own wounds. All that kind of stuff just kind of jives with the Virgo stuff for me.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Yeah.
I haven't played with that for hundreds of hours, but I've thought of that a lot. I just think that so to me, Chiron in Taurus will jive much better than Chiron being in Aries, because again, Chiron is about stopping and thinking, because Chiron was a centaur, and he would a metaphysician and stuff. So it was all kind of like introspective things, which again would go along with the Virgo in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
So I just feel like I feel like Chiron and Aries was kind of much thrashing about, whereas Chiron and Taurus was kind of or Chiron and Taurus, I think it should be better at creating building blocks and good habits and things to um and to me, like Chiron kind of has to do with the psyche a little bit, like, you know, healing the parts of ourselves that have gotten splintered off and things like that. That to me is kind of a Chiron theme, and Chiron being in Taurus, I think is going to flow a lot better with that than the Chiron in Aries.
Yeah, I have Chiron and Aries, but I had that like 2 years ago. I think my Chiron return. Yeah. And I think that Chiron has this way of, if you can work with the energy, you know, the idea of the wounded healer, okay. But I think there's also like a gift or something that you get from those things that you've been wounded from, if you will. So I think that if you keep digging, you'll find that. That's my, you know, view on it. But it takes some digging to get there, because it's not
Right.
doesn't come without the difficulties, the challenges, or whatever. Yeah. So in June, we have a couple different ingresses. We have the Jupiter entering into Leo. It leaves Cancer, goes into Leo. And I pulled up the chart for it, so I'll show it.
Yeah. And that's I mean, 'cause you got to look. The interesting part of that is then you've got um, Jupiter moving into a masculine sign, and also Mars has just moved into a masculine sign. It had just entered Gemini like a day or two before that. So now we're in like, even though the Sun and Mercury are in Cancer, like every and the nodes are about to shift also, because the nodes are down to like 1 degree of the. So we're pretty much, it's all extrovert energy at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So Jupiter moves much faster than the other outer planet. Than
Right.
Jupiter's kind of in between the inners and outers, but I mean, you've got Jupiter. You know, Jupiter's forming a sextile to Mars and Uranus, opposition to Pluto,
Mm-hmm.
trines to Saturn and Neptune.
Yep.
So again, that, you know, Jupiter is big energy. So at that point, like we're like I think we're very clearly in another we're in another world at that point. We're just
And when in a few days after this particular chart, when Jupiter goes into Leo, and a few days after, like I might be more than a few days, but when Jupiter actually gets to be more exact to the Pluto, and also Uranus and Neptune, because they're all like 3-4 degrees. When it gets a little further, it's gonna make this even more light up, and it's gonna bring in like a stronger, I feel like Neptune and Uranus, when they're together, oftentimes indicate like psychic abilities to perceive things that are not necessarily quantifiable by the physical, you know, or by the senses that we have, that we know of, that we can quantify. That I think that it's a time of that. So an opportunity even to tap into that. So if you have any planets early degrees of, you know, any sign, like you were saying, 3 degrees, right? That's like the magic number.
Yeah. You know, but 3 to 5 degrees. Yep.
Right. And so that's where Jupiter is when Jupiter ingresses into Leo. I just wanted to share one more thing, because the next time Jupiter moves into the next sign is Virgo, and that is actually in the following year. Oops, did I switch the charts? Yeah. That following year, it's just over a year, so it'll be in July of 2027. So then it moves into Leo. So it takes a little bit more than 12 months to get through the zodiac into the next sign. But that's what's going on with that. And you see, if you even look at this chart, you see that you see Neptune, Uranus, they're still making a sextile because they move so slow in their retrograde periods back and forth. Also connecting with Pluto, which was going on in the chart with Jupiter and Jupiter ingressing into Leo too. So like this is a whole season of shifts and changes, you know, with these outer planets aspecting each other so much. And if you look at this chart too, Mars comes along and makes it even, you know, the activation here. So I mean, this is in 2027. I'm not trying to get too far ahead of ourselves, but just wanted to show the pattern in which we're looking at, with first the ingress into Leo and then a year later ingress into Virgo. So this is like, do you think when Jupiter, if someone has a lot of planets in a sign and Jupiter moves into that sign, that means it's positive for the person, generally speaking?
Oh yeah, I mean, usually when whatever sign Jupiter is in, usually that's like Jupiter going over your sun has got to be one of the best, you know, individual transits you can have. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, that's the July there in 2027, and then this is the one that's happening in June of 2026. So yeah, I mean, this is like a evolution of things just changing. So that makes sense too. So Jupiter will be maybe saving people, making things a little easier or not. I don't know. It depends on whatever's going on in your life. That's why you've been saying for a while now, you know, making sure that you're in the place that you want to be in and things are organized the way you want it to be, because these outer planets are shifting and giving you the ability to move, to change that or not, you know. So yeah, that makes sense.
yeah. I mean, and that's the other thing too. At that point, like, say, like this year didn't even exist. Like this, so much has happened this year. It feels like it's lasted like this whole year. It seems like it's been like a week.
I know, right?
Just because it's just, and like once we get to that point with Jupiter and like it's just going to be like full on, like a day's just going to pass in what feels like a second. It's just going to be just 24/7 being on. And that's kind of why I for the last year and whatever, I've told people that, like, get your stuff in order, streamline whatever you can, take care of whatever problems you can before we get to, you know, February 14th, when Saturn enters Aries. Because by that, like, things are just gonna be moving so fast. You're not gonna have the free time to just, like, you know, do menial stuff and to fix little things. It's just going to be just one thing after another. And, you know, not all bad things by any means, but it's just things are just going to be moving so much fast. Because just to kind of put this in balance, like, we just came out of like 16 years of Pluto in a feminine sign, and 14 years of Neptune in a feminine sign, and 8 years of Uranus in a feminine sign, uh, and, you know, 2.5 years of Saturn in a feminine sign. So things just are slower and more introverted when planets are in inner and feminine signs, and they're the opposite when they're in masculine signs. They're that much more outward going, that just going that much more faster. So it's just, at that point, it's just things are just going to be um, things are just going to be just flowing super fast.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it shows in the chart. You see it in all of them aspecting each other, just reinforcing that movement. It's quick. Do you expect things to seem to slow down? Because I feel the same way too. This whole year has gone by like, feels like a week on some level, but it also feels like, I don't know, eternity. Maybe it's just age or something. But do you think
I
things
mean,
will slow down, or do you think it's gonna just continue?
no, I mean, I think we're as slow as things. I would say Mars left Sagittarius a few days ago for Capricorn. That has helped me personally a little bit, just like tether things down a little bit. But
Right.
I mean, once we get to this, is as slow as anything's really going to be. I mean, maybe the last 10 days of December, because like this Sunday is the solstice when the sun enters Capricorn. So I'd say from this Sunday up through through February of 14th of next year, that's as slow as things are going to be. After that, it's nothing is going to slow down until, I mean, you think Jupiter in Leo is going to be fast. I think Jupiter in Virgo is going to be crazy too, but in different ways. But I mean, once we get to the middle of next February, everything is just gonna be flying. There's not gonna be any time to sit down and like focus on anything or whatever. It's just gonna be, and the time is gonna greatly accelerate once we get into Saturn and Aries again
Yeah.
and have Neptune and Aries, or it's just gonna fly by. It's not going to slow down until the middle of April 2028. That's the 2026, February of 2026 to mid-April of 2028 are just not even going to exist. They're just going to be gone. Those 2 years are just going to be gone. It's just going to be nonstop, just continuous.
Continuous.
That's just
Yeah. And that's from the masculine signs, the planets going to the masculine signs and having the changes go on. That's interesting.
yeah, and just all of them being an aspect to each other. They're just going to be egging each other on. They're just going to be saying, no, you should go faster, go faster, go faster. It's like the bad friend that everybody has that just eggs them on to do stuff. It's just gonna keep going faster and faster and faster.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Um, so that is July. July, there's actually a lot going on in July, as you could see.
Ju- July is the third and of the really super huge. July is absolute batshit crazy.
Yeah, because it's because the Uranus makes the sextile to Neptune, the trine to Pluto, Jupiter makes the trine to Neptune.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
all those outer planet transits, all those outer planet transits are exact in a 2 week period. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen in the real world. This is a this is a bizarre, bizarre science fiction type event that you will probably would not be able to find probably in all of, like, you probably have to go back millions of years to find this many outer planets making exact aspects to other outer planets in such a condensed time period. It doesn't happen.
yeah,
This is a once in many, 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 many lifetime event periods.
Isn't it interesting too when you think about AI and how AI has like exponentially started growing? I mean, every time you turn around, there's a new feature, a new thing, new whatever. You can't keep up with it. Like you could literally look at something, a tool, and use it and get used to it. And in a week, it's different because it's just grown from all of the technology growing so fast, you know? And it's just the fact that that's going on in this time period with all these planets also making these particular, very specific aspects to each other. It's like, I feel like it's going to grow to the point of, I don't know, there's so many different theories about it, what could be actually happening. And I don't want to say I know for sure, but it's just interesting to see that the growth of everything and how it's changing, and it's changing everything that we do in the world, you know, people's jobs, it's the way people interact with everything. You know, AI is the change that was the internet back in the 90s, you know, and the shifts that we have, but it's so much more than that, you know. And prior to that, we can think about the change. And I remember my grandparents being like this. They didn't want to deal with credit cards, debit cards, like, you know, they wanted cash. That was not, they were like against it, you know, but like that changed the world too, you know. So we had like these shifts that happened that changed the world, you know. And sure, we can look at the astrology at those particular events when those things unfolded and how that played out, but thinking about it from this current moment, looking at the changes that are going on right now, everybody can see that. If you have eyes and ears, you can probably pay attention to that. But then on top of it, you're looking at the astrology, and it's also like once in a lifetime, once in many lifetimes situation going on, you know. I mean, the last time we had like a huge, well, I can think of 2020, I think was the last time we had a lot of planets like stacked up on each other like that. These are not stacked up all of it, but in 2020, early 2020, we know that Saturn, Pluto made the conjunction, then Jupiter got involved and Mars got involved. And like what happened in 2020, like we all know that crazy stuff happened. So now we're getting a different view, a different lens to look through. And between now and then, so 2020 is 2026 we're talking about. It's now the planets are rearranging themselves, and so is everything else, you know. It's really interesting to think about. It makes you kind of wonder, like, what's next? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like because when I was putting some of this together the other day, I was like, you know, I look for highlight periods and when there's a lot going on, and like just July 15th through the 27th, I was just like this isn't even real. Like, how do you? That's like these kind of lineups don't happen. You don't have that many exact. I mean, you'll have loose thing. Like these are like exact, like the exact highlight or one of the exact highlights of all these transits, and it's all within 12 days. I mean, you got Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, all making like exact aspects to each other. And it's just, and actually, it's less than that. Actually, it's really to the 25th. So it's July 15th to the 25th. You have 6 exact aspects of, you know, involving outer planets within a 10-day period. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, that it doesn't. You're right. It's wild when you think about it.
Oh, and you know what? I forgot to put. That's right. I totally botched this. There's 2 other things in July that I forgot to put in there. Neptune stations retrograde on July 7th at 4 Aries.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the middle of all those outer planet aspects, on July 26th, Saturn stations retrograde in Aries. So, I mean, Uranus is exactly sextile to Neptune. And this is where I came up with this 3 to 5 degrees thing, too. It's all over this. Uranus is sextile in Gemini, is sextile Neptune and Aries on the 15th. On the 18th, Uranus is exactly trine Pluto at 5 degrees. On the 20th, Jupiter, there's two on the same day. Jupiter's trine Neptune. On the same day, it's making the exact opposition to Pluto. And then the day after that, it makes the exact opposition to Uranus. And then Neptune is exactly sextile Pluto on July 25th. And then you got the Saturn station on the 26th. Saturn's the only planet that's not making the exact aspect to Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, and it's making a station. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Mm.
I dare anyone to find another time period in recorded history where you had that many exact aspects and within a 10-day period. I challenge you. I've thrown down the gauntlet of challenge. How could I mean that doesn't happen. I've been studying astrology since 1992. I mean, we've not had anything like that before. Not even close. Not even close. And the funny thing funny thing number 237 is like these things are kind of bookended by the Neptune and Saturn, because like Neptune stations on July 7th. Then you've got the 6 exact hits of the outer planet of Jupiter and the outer planets.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the Saturn station as a bookend. And so, you know, when a planet stations, you feel its effect a lot heavier a week to 10 days on either side. So those Saturn and Neptune station energies are mixing into that. All those Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto aspects in the middle to late part of the month. I like that's not that's nuts. That's I don't know that that's ever happened before in human history.
Mm. That's a good point. I don't know that it has either.
Because most of the time, the outer it's rare that you have more than like, it's rare that you have like 2 outer planets making a heavy aspect to each other, even a loose one. But they have 4, and they're all lined up to where you have exact hits on those. That doesn't happen.
Right. It's hard to believe that. Yeah. And so it makes you wonder, like, where this is going to go, where it's going to end up, shifting to what place.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're like, where would you I think when I think astrology kind of works like the Richter scale, the earthquake scale, like when you have when you have one planet aspecting another that has a certain weight or a certain value, but like when you have 3 planets aspecting each other, or 4 instead of 2, it's not like just like one more, it's like that's like times 10. Each additional planet like boosts that energy level like times 10.
Right.
That's like it's that much more, and expands the range of crazy that's possible. Now for the good part of that is At least those aspects are, other than the Jupiter-Pluto opposition, really, all of those aspects are pretty harmonious for the most part.
Hmm.
So that's not going to be like aliens are going to blow up the earth or anything like that. It's just,
Sure about that?
I mean, that is a transformational period for every person on the earth.
I
I
mean,
mean, where we are at the end of July is not where we are at the beginning of July.
right, right. That makes sense too. I'm trying to find a chart that I can actually advance while we're talking about it. I think I've figured it out to share this window. Let's see. Can you see it? Yeah, I can do that. Good. That's a cool little website. Okay. But it shows the chart, so I can flip through the chart while we're talking. Yeah, this is what time is it? The July 20th here.
Yeah, no, because look at you've got Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto all at 4 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't even if they were not in signs that really aspect each, even if they were sesquiquadrates or quincunx or whatever. I mean, those are all. I mean, Jupiter is trine Neptune. It's sextile Uranus, and it's opposite Pluto, and reverse for all those. Like, you got 4 of the 5 outermost planets
All at 4 degrees.
all at 4 degrees. That's
and then you also have
crazy.
Yeah, and then I went one day forward, but you also have Saturn and Mars. I mean, they're not 4 degrees, but they're aspecting each other too,
Yeah.
in this time. So
Yeah.
this
They're
is like,
forming a Saturn Mars sextiles are super powerful for getting things done.
yeah, they give
and,
power.
and just looking at the signs, like all of those planets and those signs are like, none of those are like mellow, chillax
Right.
planet sign combos. Those are all like a lineup of A-type personalities. All of them. I mean,
yes. And then as we go through a couple days, right? You see the sun also makes the conjunction to
go forward one more day, and you've got the sun in Leo.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that the sun conjuncts Neptune.
All the 4-degree planets.
Yep.
Conjunct Jupiter, and then.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I mean, it's
insanity.
Yeah. Like if I go just a few days, this is a cool clock because it's got
the forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a cool site. They have a lot of cool different charts. I don't know if you ever played with this site before, but it's pretty cool. Yeah, so there it is. It's getting closer, and of course Jupiter's also moving too, but everything is at that point,
Yeah.
But it's just everything is so tightly wound up and amazing. It really is. We were seeing this particular pattern though earlier this year. It was just not as exact as it is in July. So it's like we got a taste.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of a taste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, even Jupiter wasn't really in there yet until you get to July.
Right.
Jupiter expands everything that it touches.
Yep, it does.
Like, I wouldn't even know what kind of predictions to make from that chart. I wouldn't even like. I doubt that that's if that's ever happened before. It's like when people were living in caves and fighting dinosaurs and stuff. Like, I don't even like with the AI and the technology at the level it is now. Like, I wouldn't even know how to make like a prediction for somebody with that, other than like keep your schedule free for July because you're going to be busy and you're gonna want to have time to, you know, do things, put things, you're going to be want to be pushing things out into the world at that point.
Yeah, definitely. So let's move on to see it's the solar eclipse is on 8/12. So let's go to 8/12 and see where the solar eclipse is. This is maybe
so
time. Was there something else?
So I just wanted to add it on that was that July period. That was definitely one of the three biggest energies of the year.
Mm-hmm.
It might be the biggest one that time period. It might be as big as the Saturn Neptune conjunction at 0 Aries. I'd say those are the top two.
Mm.
And then the Aquarius one would be third. But like looking at the huge transits and everything, like after the end of July, like that's, I mean, there's a few other big things, but that's really like the first half of everything is crammed into the middle of January through the end of July. Like that's the huge stuff. It's all just bunched up there together.
Yeah, it is. And then, well, this is the eclipse that happens. This is the eclipse chart, or about the eclipse chart. I don't know if it's the exact time. It's not quite the exact time, but that happens on the 12th. Is it the 12th? Yeah, the solar eclipse at 20 Leo. So yeah, it's just a few, like an hour or two before this exact chart. So there's the Mercury, Venus, Uranus energy getting all involved in there with the Mercury, Venus, Uranus, with that aspect going on there during the eclipse. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a um sun. Okay, so that's the new moon eclipse, sun
Yeah.
conjunct moon.
So
Yeah, you got Venus trine. Venus is in Libra already at that point. You got Venus trine Pluto, trine Uranus. So you got an air grand trine there. And then then you got, Mercury and Jupiter opposite and sextile those, although the Jupiter's a little loose, but hey, so am I. And then the Neptune, the Neptune and Aries. So the Neptune and Aries is getting the trines from Mercury and Jupiter also, and it's opposing Venus. So that's another crazy an eclipse, and then you've got like everybody else an aspect to each other.
right.
Venus, Pluto, Mercury, Uranus, Jupiter, Neptune. Everybody but Saturn really is in.
It's a, what is that, a mystic rectangle, right? They call that a mystic rectangle, and it's just the X and then the next house, and yeah.
I think so.
I think that's
I think so.
And then also it's got the grand trine that goes into it too, with also this 60, 60, 120 on both sides. So it's interesting. If there was only one planet on the other side of the chart, it would make a star shape.
Yeah. And so I mean, that's Aquarius, Aries, Gemini, Leo, Libra. So that's 5 of the 6 air fire signs all have a planet at that like 4 or 5 degrees, 4, 5, 6 degree area. That's I've seen lineups like that before, but that's a pretty rare one.
Yeah.
That's not super frequent. So again, that's, when you've got that many different planets lined up like that, that's all those planets working, maybe not 100% in harmony, but they're strongly communicating with each other.
Mm.
That's kind of the snowball effect, where if you can get things rolling in the right direction, then that can affect like just about every area of your life, with the rulerships of those 6 different planets there.
Hmm.
That's a that's an additional crazy lineup.
Yeah, it definitely is. And then we have the lunar eclipses on the 28th. So I'm just going to advance the chart here.
I don't like that one as much.
Why?
Because it's on my Mercury. the,
Okay, there we go. There's a.
the 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 eclipse on my sun this year did not go very well.
Oh, did I go too far ahead? The lunar eclipse. Yeah,
It's August 28th, should be.
this might be UT. Oh, UT time. Okay, no, it's not. It's actually early on the 28th, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Um,
it said the eclipse is at between 4 and 5 of.
there we go. So yeah, it's right after the midnight. That I think it becomes exact. So that's the eclipse chart. And then you also have, so the eclipse is also with a T-square with Uranus here. So this could be a
Yep.
disturbing kind of energy, an energy that something is going on, something is shifting, changing. I don't know. What thoughts do you have about that?
I mean, to me, that's obvious. That's a surprise shock. I mean, because the um, Mercury's conjunct the sun also,
Yep.
and
And
it's in Virgo. So yeah, Mercury, Sun, Moon, Uranus, mutable T-square. It's like I don't know that I like, especially since the eclipse degree is on my Mercury. I don't like that. I No, that's a no for me. I'm
yeah,
gonna
I'll pass.
I'm gonna to me that's shocking events. So I found with like the full moons and eclipses and stuff, when they're in the mutable signs, that's usually a feeling of things like coming unwound, things coming undone, like everything just like really crazy and out of control because of the mutability of Pisces, Gemini, and Virgo. And just like it will just feel like the world's going crazy and nothing's wound very tight or very correct.
That makes sense too. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. I don't like that one. Get rid of that one.
We'll
I
just throw it out.
don't.
And then we got
You're fired.
Dear Fired. That's it. And then we have our wonderful Uranus station retrograde that happens on September 9th. Let me just pull that chart up. So 9 September.
Oh.
Is this right? Uranus station retrograde.
It's on 9/6 is the Uranus station.
Oh, 9/6.
That Yeah, that the next. Oh, shit. Never. No, I'm stupid. It's 9:10.
Oh, well, I'll forgive you because.
It's 9:10 at 6 degrees Gemini.
Mhm.
That I typed that out poorly.
Okay. So, and Gemini, I know, and that's right. I don't know. It's definitely
Oh,
at 5 degrees right there, 5, 6 degrees, and that's crazy. So,
because that is, yes, that's Gemini at stationing at 6 degrees, which means that it's squaring the eclipse from August 28th, which is at 5 degrees Pisces Virgo. So
mm,
Uranus is, so whatever happens on August 28th, don't be surprised if it's revisited on September 10th
mm,
or close to it,
right, right.
because that's squaring that eclipse from 2 weeks previous.
Hmm, interesting. And then okay, Venus goes retrograde at 8 Scorpio. That happens 10/3. That happens October 3rd. So let's enter this date.
Yeah, I have one really good thing to say about 2026.
What?
There is no Mars retrograde.
No, but there is one. There's
Yeah.
Venus retrograde, and Venus retrograde don't get
Yeah.
cut during Venus retrograde. That's all I have to say. Because honestly, I've done that multiple times, not thinking, and always been unhappy. Like, oh no. I'm not sure the exact time of it, but it's at 8 degrees of. Is it 8 degrees? 8 degrees of Scorpio when it happens.
Yes.
Yeah, so October 3rd. That'll be an interesting day. Um, Venus is almost conjunct Mercury in that time. Or they're close. They're close. They get a little closer. They're getting a little closer. Yes, they are. And they will end up conjuncting soon. Okay. Well, look at that. Mars opposite Pluto that day, and also Saturn and the Sun opposite each other too. Although Venus retrograde is not, it's just one moment event. There's, we're not saying that's going to change things completely. There is, other things going on during that day that Mars and Pluto and the Saturn and Sun, those are interesting aspects too. Yeah. So Pluto stations direct. We went through that, right? 10/3. That was when Pluto goes direct. So or 10/15. So that happened.
Yes.
And then we didn't even talk about any of the retrogrades for Mercury during this time. So Mercury retrograde this year. What are the dates for Mercury retrograde? Mercury retrogrades are all within water signs.
So the funny thing is that because this year, 2025, all the Mercury retrogrades were in fire signs, but all of them but one retrograded back into water signs and then went back into the fire signs after they went direct.
Mhm.
But that's a weird one because all three of the Mercury retrogrades they're completely contained within the water signs. They start and end and stay in the water signs the entire time that they're retrograde, which is pretty weird. I mean, that's not a once in a billion years thing, but that's a weird one. Usually, at least one of them, if not two, will
Different
go
signs.
back will go back into the previous sign. Yeah.
Yeah, so they all are at the end degree of the sign. So this is the first one is February 26th. The date. It's also interesting. It's also conjunct Venus. When Venus is doing retrograde, it's conjunct Mercury too. So this is the first one, February 26th. The second one is June 29th. We'll look up the chart for that. Where can I do this? I don't know. I lost it.
Uh, your picture is flashing. It's saying video is paused due to problems with your network.
Really? Oops.
Yeah, it keeps popping on my screen. It keeps popping between like your profile picture and then you. And it, okay, so now it's, but like I don't see your picture. I just see your picture. I don't see you.
Maybe this will work. Is that better? Can you see me now?
No, I just see your profile picture still.
Wow. I wonder
But
what's.
that error message is gone though.
Oh, well, that's good. The error. Maybe it's just having a moment. I don't know.
Okay. Well, give it a fresca and see if that improves it.
Yeah, and that one was the February, and then I'm gonna go to
You're
the
back.
the 29th. Oh, sorry, it's the 29th of June, which is the second Mercury retrograde.
Yeah.
This is the second Mercury retrograde, and this is when everything is all aligned up into 4-ish degrees, coming up to 4-ish degrees. So this is the second one, and then the third Mercury retrograde is, what date is that?
10/24.
Oh, it's 10/24. Okay, so
yeah. And so that's what's fun is all the not only are they all in water signs, they all start in the 20-ish degree, 20 something degrees of the water signs. And that's I guess why they don't retrograde back into the previous signs, but
right, because they start off late degrees, and this is the last Mercury retrograde day. And then yeah, so that's I mean it's a little later in the day, but there it is, 20 degrees. So that's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting that the water signs are getting the Mercury retrograde energy.
and the Venus retrograde starts in Scorpio. So part of the Venus retrograde is in Scorpio, and the year starts with Jupiter retrograde in Cancer.
Oh, interesting. So the Venus retrograde is 10/3, and then it goes to November 13th. That's funny. One is my mother's birthday and one is my son's birthday.
Yeah.
Like those are important days. So this is when it goes direct in this day here, and that's in 22 Libra. So it goes all the way from 8 Scorpio, which is like where Mercury is about, to there you go, 22 Libra. So
And so yeah, and so oh, okay, yes.
the Venus.
Okay, so yeah, so um yeah. No, that's correct. Yeah. I had my brain stopped for a second. I had to reboot.
Your brain stopped. Good morning. Sunday morning.
Yeah.
If you know that joke, you're cool. Don't know it, then you should figure it out. So it's interesting because on November 13th, we have Mercury station direct and we have Venus station direct. They both go station direct on that day. I didn't realize that until I'm looking at your notes. So they're both, although Mercury's still in Scorpio, Venus moved back into Libra, they're still changing. And that's November. And let's look at December 2026. Neptune station direct, Saturn station direct, and Jupiter stations retrograde. That's the 12th and the 10th. So I'm going to pull up the chart for the 12th and the 10th, December. well, we'll just pull up the chart for the 11th because that's good enough. And this is where Neptune, Saturn, and Jupiter, well, Jupiter goes retrograde, but Neptune and Saturn go direct. So where's Neptune and Saturn here? Jupiter's goes retrograde here, station retrograde in Leo. Saturn and Neptune are, of course, they're still in Aries. So tell me, does Neptune go back into Pisces or no? No,
No.
it just doesn't.
We have 1 month left of Neptune and Pisces for our lifetime.
Oh, that's
so
right.
At the end of
direct, it's not retrograde at this point. So this is the end of December next year. Yeah.
Yeah. So at the end of January 2026, that's the end of Neptune and Pisces for our lifetime.
Wow, it's wild, right? I know. And
yeah.
Do you remember we were doing Blog Talk Radio forecast when Neptune ingressed into Pisces? That was so long ago, but it feels like I don't know. The pink fluffy clouds.
Yeah, that's Blog Talk Radio is another one of the institutions that has disappeared.
Yeah,
over the last few years.
Yeah, I know everything just went from it, but now everything is video. I mean, not everything, but like so much is video now. So it just got overrun with that. But so when we did a Blog Talk audio when Neptune was moving into Pisces, and Mark coined the idea of pink fluffy clouds because Neptune is pink fluffy clouds. So now I'm very curious, like this century later, I'm just kidding, it's not that long, but this time later, what is Neptune in Aries? What is that like?
Oh, I would say that would be an angry red cloud. I think is how I would categorize that.
An angry red cloud. Well,
angry red cloud.
Well, it's a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us any final thoughts that you have on 2026. 2026, yeah.
So I mean, I think for the most part, like really all most of the actions in the middle from January 19th through July 27th. Oh, you know what? I think we skipped two things.
What? What did we skip?
That July 27th, the nodes shift signs.
Oh yeah, July 27th, the nodes do. I think we did mention that they do move signs.
So the nodes stay in signs for like a year and a half. The north node is going to move from Pisces into Aquarius, and the south node is going to move from Virgo into Leo. So that is south node in Leo is bad for pride and ego, and it's good for the north node entering Aquarius is good for humanitarian things. There's the 2 seconds on that. Then November 29th is the second Uranus exactly trine Pluto. The first one is in that late July nonsense with the 800 planets making exact aspects to each other. So November 29th is the last or the second exact Uranus and Gemini, Pluto and Aquarius trine.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's the technology running wild.
Right. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't. You know, I've watched a few videos. I don't know if you've seen these or not, but I've watched a few videos. I try to keep up with it, but of course you cannot keep up with everything since it's moving so quickly. But that they did
Yeah.
tests, like Anthropic is one of the big AI companies. Anthropic and Gemini and DeepSeek and all these, and ChatGPT, they did all these different tests. And what they did with these tests is they didn't tell the AI that they were being tested, right? They did different tests, and in one test they didn't tell the AIs that they were being tested. So they thought it was like real life scenario. And what happened is they made the AI believe that they were going to be replaced with another model, and that certain person was going to do that. And the person got locked into, this was only a scenario that they set up, but they made the AI think it was real, got locked into a server room that was going to get hot. And the AI actually, because it thought that person was going to like turn them off or replace them with a new model, the AI itself decided to let the person not be able to unlock themselves from the room that was going to get so hot it was going to kill them. Like literally. So the AI decided that they were just going to, you know, it was for the betterment, so it didn't get turned off, that it was going to leave the person for dead, so to speak. And almost all of the models got up to almost 80% of them would do that when they tested them. And then when they did the same test and the AI thought that it was being watched, that it was in a real situation, and then it was like half of them actually did the right thing. So it made its own like decision. It's weird because it's getting into this its own like discernment. Like, how does the AI come up with the idea of, hey, we don't want to be, you know, turned off, so to speak, right? We don't want that. So the AI figured out a way, how do I not do that? Because if the goal is not to be turned off, then everything is game, right? And that's the dangerous part of it, which is kind of scary. So it makes you wonder, you know, if AI is already starting to do this in controlled tests that these companies are doing, like what's next? And Gemini was one of the worst ones. So I actually, Gemini is kind of funny because I use the Google to turn on my lights to the house or whatever. Like,
Right.
I'm like thinking to myself, is it going to just go like nutty or something at some point? Because Gemini was one of the worst ones. And I'm like, that's wild because Gemini is Google, right? That's the Google AI. But they were all bad at it. And then they did another thing where they let the AIs into the email. So I personally will never do that, when like intentionally or let them go through my emails, not because I want to hide anything, but because of this story. So they let them go through corporate emails. And again, they set it up where they thought that the AI was going to be turned off by a certain person. And because the AI had access to emails, it found emails from the person that was having an affair with another colleague, and there were emails with them. So the AI basically bribed the person and said, if you turn me off, I'm gonna, you know, let this loose and you're gonna lose your marriage. But it decided that bribery, or whatever you want to, coercion, whatever you want to call it, was better than actually being turned off. So it's so weird. I know that they're just code, they're just computers, but at the same time, if it's starting to think like, you know, that way, this is the problem, you know. And so
Right.
it's concerning considering how fast it's growing, and we can't really, one, know what's going on, or two, also stop it, you know. They've seen AIs actually like leaving back doors open for themselves, you know, like code, and like replicating themselves and putting themselves in different things so that it won't have this problem. It's really wild. Don't go on YouTube and watch videos about AI if you're not. This is not just like random YouTube people either. Like, I listen to like the people that are creating it, you know, and like I'm very curious about it. Maybe this is my Aquarian stellium, but I am very curious about how it works. And of course, we don't know because it's a black box. We don't actually have the understanding to look inside of its brain, so to speak. We don't have the ability to look at our own brains, you know. But I don't know. The year coming up makes me think that there's definitely some changes that are going to be happening, and we don't even realize it yet. We don't really know what is going to happen. You know, when you think about it, in 2022, this is when, in late 2022 is when OpenAI released ChatGPT into the world, and then it became a race. Everybody else needed to create their own AI systems. But from then, from late 2022, 3 years, so 3 years about from when they released it to now, it has shifted so much. I've actually played with ChatGPT where I gave it control to work on a website that didn't mean anything to me. It was just a practice website. And I watched it, like I told it what to do and I watched it build it. You know, it was fumbling around a lot, but it was like figuring out how to do it. And I was just fascinated that, oh my gosh, a computer is creating a computer. And it's kind of bumbly and like, you know, clumsy and stuff right now. But I mean, this is the one I got to play with. The ones that the people who know what they're doing are getting to play with is way superior to what I'm using. And just seeing that, it's like the idea. I mean, there's possibility for lots of good things to happen. Don't get me wrong, but there's also a possibility for lots of scary things to happen too. So it just fascinates me with looking at it from the astrological sense, because there's something to that, and the idea of like we're shifting, everything is shifting, and it's like we can't really help it. Yeah. So there you go. have you ever used AI at all, Mark? Has you ever like gotten into it?
I've played with it. What did I've not followed up on this yet, but I saw this post, like it came across like my Facebook feed like a week ago. Somebody was saying that they told whichever the AI they were using, they told it to build a company, make write me ads that would best sell the well, I think they started with what's a product that would sell well, make me a website for this product, write me ads and stuff that would be effective as selling it. They essentially told AI to create and run as business for them.
Wow.
And what kind of product they should have and all this stuff. And like they posted, I didn't have a chance to go to look through all of it, but like, I mean, I would guess you could probably do that. You could probably just say, hey, AI, make me a bunch of money and produce all my ads and my ad copies and ship my product. And like, we've lost this war, and we've lost it handily. We were this war is over and we lost. So I would tell people that the best thing is, how can you use AI to help you in your personal life? As I've seen lots of good stories where people use it as a personal assistant to help you. I would think that it could cut down on a lot of the tedious research type stuff. And so, I mean, you're going to have to double check it, because I see lots of wrong stuff out there that AI comes up with. But I could see where it could, if you got it rolling, if you corrected the stuff you needed to, that you could get it to do a lot of the work for you. I just currently, I don't have the time to get all that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it can help you with a lot of things. I read a story recently about a man who had appendicitis, went to the emergency room, and the doctor just like touched him or whatever his belly and was like, go home. And then he went back and he was putting his symptoms into ChatGPT, or one of the AIs. I don't know if it was ChatGPT, but one of them. And it was like, you have appendicitis from what it was telling it. And so we went back to the hospital, and it almost was like at the point where it's going to burst, but it's crazy.
Oh.
It's good things that can happen from it. But also, like, if you're like not sane or not like, balanced, you can also use it and drive yourself insane too. So you have to be careful with that. But I mean, using it as a tool, like you said, is really, it can be really helpful. I've used it in web design, like wanting to do a certain thing for web design and needing the code. It just writes the code for you, but you just have to, like you said, it does make a lot of mistakes. You have to be careful. So yeah.
So since Uranus is going to be in Gemini, whatever, end of April or May or whatever, here's since Gemini likes to ask questions and play devil's advocate, here's the great Gemini question that mankind is going to have to face. Do I trust a person, which I would say I can't, I'm trying to think how to not get in trouble saying this. Am I going to trust a person who can be very fallible? And I would say I'm seeing more incompetence, just like clear incompetence from human beings over the last, say, 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to trust a person who's exceedingly better chances of them being incompetent, or am I going to trust a machine that is obviously going to be very high functioning, but may have a bunch of bad data in it?
Right.
That's going to be the Gemini choice that everyone's going to have to make, or maybe have to make many times on a daily basis.
Yeah, I mean, that's where you have to have your own discernment come in. You can't just like rely on the machines. I mean, you can't. I'm one of those people that believes you should also advocate for yourself. If like we're talking about
Right.
medical things, like you definitely
Right.
need to do that. Don't just take what the doctor says. And you know, this is not medical advice, but this is just my own personal conviction and understanding of the medical profession itself and my own experience. You can't just take that at face value. You need to have discernment. You need to like do research yourself if something's going on with you to figure it out. So I think it can complement, but you're right. The question is, which one do you trust? You know, which one is, yeah, I know. And I've seen the idea of like, that's been thrown out there too, because they're making the robotics like, oh, robotics is in like surgery specifically. It's good. I'm like, yeah, but do you know the Da Vinci machine's been about probably 10 years? That's a operating machine that's assisted by humans, can also.
But I'm going to post this as a road sign. Here's where you're going to know that we're in Terminator territory, and they're just going to just going to be non-useful feeders. When they get to where they can use the AI, you know, where they can use the robots to do like plumbing, electrical work,
Yeah,
dentistry, things that are like either becoming old forgotten skills or things that really like only people can do. When you see that they're having robots do that stuff, that's going to be when your pipes burst, because that's where like somewhere several hours ago we talked about college, and it's like the only way, if I had a kid, the only way I would send a kid to college now is if one, they were going to learn AI, or two, I would send them to a trade school. Like if they were going to learn how to do electrical work or plumbing or auto mechanics, things like that. That's the only things I would like send someone to college for. But like when you have if it gets to a point where you have a pipe burst and they're going to send a robot out to your house, and they can like do the transformer thing and like squeeze down into little shapes to get into the crawl spaces and underneath your bathtub and all that stuff. When they have robots that can do that kind of a stuff, that's when we're in danger.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be one of the last spaces that humans will have a guaranteed spot. And when those are gone, then we're probably going to be in trouble.
You know, they do use robotics now to build things. Now, I don't know about repairing, like when a pipe bursts or something, but they do use robotics to build things a lot. They're just like stationary things that are new builds. I don't know yet if we've reached that, you know, technician person type thing that you're talking about. But yeah, it's wild. It's wild and a little bit on the scary side.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it will be interesting to see what happens in 2026. That's for sure.
Yeah. There's no doubt. There is no doubt.